So now I'm super curious about the 90-day framework,
Okay.
the four-pillar foundation that will help our listeners get from where they are to where they want to be if scaling a business is something that they truly want.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, once I got back from that 30-day trip in 2012, I spent the next 5 years of my franchising really fine tuning everything. It got to the point that I was working 16 hours a week. I was working remotely for those 5 years between here in Florida and back in Massachusetts. And I had a team of 17 women in the office and 150 staff out in the field, just to show you the scale of how big it was. And I would come back to Massachusetts and they would be like, "Why are you here? We don't need you." So I really fine tuned everything to get to the point where that business truly ran like a machine. And that was what I wanted. And it's not for everyone, right? I
Mhm.
loved what I was doing in my business. I was working on big picture vision and forecasting and planning and all of those kinds of things and really becoming that leader. Um, and it was so interesting because everyone in my franchise network was starting to pay attention and saying, "How is she doing that?" Right. And they couldn't understand how I had gone on to triple that $1 million revenue, reduce my hours from 80 to 16. And they just didn't understand it. And then that vibe really started to spread in the community. People weren't seeing me as often in the community because I was traveling and they wanted to know. So after those 10 years, I sold the business after 5 and women started saying to me like, "How did you do it? How did you build this multi-million dollar business in these part-time hours and still live your life?" And so when I sat down and broke out what I actually did during those 2 years, it came down to 4 core pillars. And that's what I call my legacy business system. And those 4 pillars, when I went on to start business coaching, is really what every successful business has. They utilize them every single day, whether it's Amazon, Apple, Airbnb, they all have them in their business. And so, what I developed was this system for women to go through those 4 core pillars over a 90-day period. And the reason I chose 90 days is because, sure, we could have spread them out over 6 months, but I remember what I felt like back in 2010 sitting in my car crying. I'm like totally burnt out. I know that the most of the women that I work with have hit that point of they're ready to either close, quit, or sell. And so 90 days is like, okay, I can do anything for 90 days, right?
Mhm.
We can get through anything for 90 days. 6 months, that's kind of a longer period. And so the program is fast-paced, but without the fluff. And it really walks you through from the first point, as I said, of what do you want? Because what you want, Deb, versus what I want is not the same. And I found that so many women in business have built a cookie cutter business based on cookie cutter business advice, right? Everyone says right now you need to have a free guide, you need to have a funnel, you need to do this, right? You need to do this. Well, you don't, right? Like if that's not your business model, then don't build it that way, right? You need to bring in leads and convert them to sales, but you can do it your way. So we start with what you want for your business and we go through everything of what makes your business unique. What is the signature offer that you're going to offer, whether that's a product or a service, to implementing systems so you can have your services or products on repeat. We build you a support team that doesn't need to be micromanaged. And then we wrap everything up and we streamline with tech tools and automations because that's where the sweet spot is in business. If you truly want to scale, you either need to have a human or you need to have technology doing all the things that are outside your zone of genius. When you can get that in place, that's when scaling becomes easier.
Yeah.